All right, welcome back to another episode of the Our American Hoops podcast. I'm Chris Driscoll. Joining me, as per usual, is my younger brother, Matt Driscoll.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. I'm pumped to talk baseball today. A little different, very, very excited.
Also joining me, as per usual, is my older brother, John Driscoll.
Hey, H, just to mimic Matt, thanks again for having me, and excited to talk baseball, the Mets, trade deadline.
Oh, yeah. And last but not least, special guest we have on today from Barstool Sports and co-host of the We Gotta Believe podcast, Clem.
LFGM, how are we doing, boys? A little behind the curtain here. I was supposed to come on. It was like that was the beginning of the Knicks Celtics before or right after. It was going to be at some point during the series when I would have made myself look like a complete ass by saying the Knicks probably don't have a shot, and I would have just basically trashed my own team, and then they would have just shoved it right in my face. So I was very happy I couldn't make myself look like an idiot. So here I am to make myself look like an idiot tonight with whatever I say.
And we're very excited for that. Yeah, so obviously this is usually a basketball show, but like we do like to talk baseball here and there, especially when there is some big news going around, which there obviously was. And we've done this. Yeah, we talked a lot of Mets before, actually back in December, right after the Soto signing. We actually did an all-time Mets draft, which was awesome. And today we're going to be talking about boatload of Mets and also just dive into some of the other trades and also probably dive into the rumors around the lockouts, which obviously I think it's very clear that a lot of the teams made moves based on trying to win now rather than the future, which that might be a silver lining, is that teams are trying to win now. That's always a good thing, but we'll get into that later. But before we start anything else, as I mentioned, we're gonna start with actually, Clem, I'm gonna ask you a question. If I would tell you right now, if I gave you 10 guesses as to which name is behind my jersey, I'm not sure if you'd be able to guess it.
Oh, let's see. You know what? Since you said it like that, and it's a black jersey, now. The guy I was going to say, I think is too predates you, but I'm just going to say it. Benny Agbayani. Let's get nuts with it.
Okay, it's not that random. The name historically the name isn't random at all, but I'm saying like it's probably a name you haven't heard in a while. It is Edgardo Alfonso. My girlfriend got it for me for $5 on the Facebook market. So that shows you not. Yeah, the demand for Edgardo Alfonso isn't as good as it used to be, unfortunately.
I have a couple autographs on my wall, and like it's a lot of Hall of Famers and whatever. And Edgardo Alfonso is probably the lowest on the thing, but that was my favorite player during that era by far. I love Edgardo Alfonso, so that is a great omen for tonight right there.
Love that. Awesome. All right, great. Yeah, now we can get into the show, talk about what's on the agenda. So just to start off, just a very simple question, Clem. What's your favorite move that the Mets made out of the 4 trades that they made?
That's a good question. Because it's so the Rodgers one, everyone was like, "Oh, that's great. Oh no, we love our prospect. We loved all those names." And then you thought about it, you're like, "Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense." The Helsley one, I think, is going to be the one that might bite us the most. I think like one of those guys just could. Mullins, I think I'm kind of. I'll go Rodgers just because when I saw the Rodgers trade. And I was like, oh, that guy, I love weirdo pitchers. Whenever the weirdo pitcher comes in against us and is throwing underhand or sidearm and you're going righty or lefty, whatever the guy is, you're like, there's no chance we're getting a hit here. But the other thing is if it's like righty lefty and the guy is coming from the right, you're like it's on a tee, it feels like for the lefty or whatever. But I love having a guy like that. He always drove me nuts when like the Mets just couldn't hit him hard because there's not many things I can give you in terms of scouting for Major League Baseball. I can tell you this. If you have a buddy who throws like that riser from the, underneath motion, my dad used to throw that pitch of wiffle ball. It is the hardest thing to hit, and it's the goddamn worst. So I'm sure these guys don't see that often. He can pitch a ton because it doesn't strain his arm as much. So because of that, and again, I'm a weirdo pitcher lover. I love Chad Bradford on the Mets back in the day. I remember Jeff Innes. I remember Terry Leach. Again, I'm a little older, I think, than you guys. So I remember like that. But like the Chad
disrespect
Bradford.
to Joe Smith.
Yeah, Joe Smith. That was I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I was saying on my podcast before, I was like, there was another guy who had like that kind of motion from like the 2010s. Joe Smith and Pedro Feliciano. Shout out Perpetual Pedro. So I love having those weird names out there. And I think Helsley, guys who throw hard, always like it can go in that fast. It can go out fast. I think Rodgers, for the most part, knock on all the wood in the world, you're not going to hit him hard. He's going to throw it, and you just hopefully they don't get the right things and dunks that produce a run. So I'll go Rodgers. And again, the fact that I was like, oh man, Billy Tidwell, I thought it was be awesome, and then everyone's like, well, actually, and they gave all his stats, and they weren't that great, and he, was going to be the 40-man roster. Drew Gilbert was such a big center fielder prospect in the Mets eyes that they gave Jeff McNeil center fielder reps and Luis Acuna, right? And then Jet Williams is coming up behind him. And then, of course, Jose Budo, last year, I was cool with him. I never truly loved him. And this year, I kind of hated him from the jump. And he drove me nuts when, last year in the playoffs, he pitched. And it's like, oh, he's unavailable for 4 days. I'm like, what is this guy? We don't need this guy if he can't pitch for 2 days in a row. So because of that, I'll go with the Rodgers trade.
Matt, what else? Matt, you got anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so I have a couple, I wrote a couple stats down about Rodgers, but I think the most important stat of the day was I found out he walks out to Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. That has to be, vibes off the charts. That has to be great for the program, for the Mets. But to kind of pivot off of the Rodgers talk, obviously I'm wearing my Loyola alumni shirt. So I went to a ton of Loyola, Maryland. I went to a ton of Orioles games. And the Orioles fans absolutely loved Cedric Mullins when I was there. Granted, in 2022, I believe, was his last, or maybe it was 23, his last, very, very good year. But looking at his numbers now, he's hitting 220-something. It's not that impressive. But if you did a deeper dive into it, 2 outs with runners in scoring position, he has a 914 OPS compared to the Mets as a team have a 663 OPS. He crushes left-handed pitching. He has a 866 OPS versus left-handed pitching. His home and away splits are a little, sketchy to say the least. He has an 873 OPS at home versus a 596 OPS away. But I know it's a small sample size. He has an over 1,000 OPS at Citi Field for his career. So if he can keep that up, that'll be a very, very elite addition. And he's had a great July. So maybe he's just he found something out. He's turning the corner. So I love the Cedric Mullins addition. They needed a center fielder. As much as I love Tyrone Taylor, I was tired of seeing him every day. I think he's a great defensive substitution and a great base runner, but you can't have a guy like Tyrone Taylor starting in October. So I do love the Cedric Mullins addition, and I love how all the Orioles fans loved him too. So, that's got to mean something. So I love that addition.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm glad you guys picked those two. I had Helsley written down just because I think, over the last 4 or 5 years, he's got a 2.03 ERA. He had almost 49 saves last year. Stats aside, Matt, not to piggyback off of your closer entrance music, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he comes into Hell's Bells.
He does.
Bells the trumpets, baby.
Which is awesome. I think that's going to be great. We got 7, 8, 9. We got 3 great songs going in the bullpen. I think, vibes are understated a little bit sometimes, but I was really excited about that one. I will say, Clem, you touched on it. They definitely gave up. I think the guys they gave up have the most potential and have the opportunity to bite us in the ass a little bit. But I think you have to give up quality prospects, and we saw it throughout the whole deadline. Is relief pitchers were the hot commodity on the market in a way. The Phillies got that guy Johan Duran. They give up their 4th and 6th prospects for him. I think that's just I think that's teams used to give up those kind of prospects for starting pitchers, and you're starting to see more now that relief pitchers are almost that kind of commodity that it used to be for starting pitchers.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, and yeah, and we'll definitely get into this with every other team, because that's what it feels like, is that every team which is looking to go stack up their relievers, and given that most starters don't go more than 6 innings anymore, bullpen arms do become more valuable. Not only do bullpen arms become more valuable, having multiple bullpen guys just to be able to close out innings, stackable bullpen, that's extremely, extremely important. And you really don't see a team go far anymore, unless they have a really solid bullpen. But yeah, just to add on to Matt's points about Mullins and Taylor, I remember like seeing at first, like thinking at first, I'm like, okay, so Mullins isn't really, he hasn't been great at the plate for the past few years. I think he really hasn't had, like, he was like a top 10 MVP voting in 2010, and then, oh, not 2010, 2022, but like since then hasn't had an OPS plus over 110. That's where the 10 came from. So like that was a concern, but that being said, once I actually looked into it, I'm like, oh, Tyrone Taylor has a 58 WRC plus for this year. Like it's not like he's been below average. He's been straight up bad. 58. Yeah. Are you kidding me? So just like replacing a negative and then adding someone who's like slightly above average. Like he's not as good as he used to be, and like while still like he's not going to be as good as Taylor in the field probably, because Taylor was awesome in the field. So like just like it's definitely going to be like there's certainly a gap between the two players, so that's going to be huge. And then I don't know what their plan is for like the rest of the lineup though. Like I don't know if Mullins is going to play every day and then put McNeil there every day, or like if they're gonna make Vientos the full-time DH. But yeah, Clem, I don't know what your minds. I don't know where your thoughts were, what the other guys' thoughts were as to what they should, what they're going to organize with their lineup.
Yeah, the lineup is interesting because I saw some people and like, where are they going to slot Mullins in there? So he's just going to take the Tyrone Taylor 9 spot. Like, oh, we got a better version of Tyrone Taylor that hits from the left-hand side, or is it going to be a little more shuffling? And I imagine it seems like we're all in the same boat here. Everyone here is Tyrone Taylor fans. It's like,
yes,
to the point where I forgive. I still to this day, despite an absolute nightmare season at the plate, I forgive him for how bad he is, just because of how good his glove is. And it's only because the rest of the lineup, the guys who couldn't carry a candle to him on defense, have just not hit. So it just makes his struggles that much more, because like, all right, we already have one automatic out in Tyrone Taylor, and then like Pete's an automatic out right now, right? And then it's like the bottom of the lineup, the babies, they were terrible for a while. Now the top of the lineup has been struggling. So because of that, it's really magnified to Tyrone Taylor. And this is the thing. I said it to my buddy. I said, I know we got Mullins. I'm telling you right now, Tyrone Taylor is going to have a huge at-bat in a big game, and he's going to come through. It could be a double, could be a single, could be a walk. But that guy shows up in the biggest spots. Everyone forgets he's the one who got that hit that got the train rolling against the Braves in that 8th inning, right? So
right.
In terms of the lineup, it's interesting because I was trying to figure it out. I think it'll probably be Mullins in center most of the time, like say 80. I think Taylor will get a little bit of time in there. Thing is, Mullins is good against lefties, like you said, Matt. The only thing is it is a lefty-righty thing. I really wanted a righty bat. I wanted a righty center fielder. That's why I thought Robert would be a good fit. I do think there's pitfalls with that potentially. Plus, some of our kids might be gone because of that. But it's like, I'm interested to see now if McNeil goes to second every day, Mullins is in center every day. I think you put Beatty at third every day. And then Mauricio is the DH until further notice. And then you kind of mix in Vientos. See, Mauricio's so much better as a lefty hitter. I could be fine. He's against righties. Vientos goes against lefties. I don't love the idea of letting Marte rot on the bench, but I think he is such a good presence. It's like he could do that. And you guys hear Mendoza talk about this all the time. He knows guys that can handle being on the bench for a while and then come in and get a hit. Taylor, he said that, I remember last year. And I wonder if we're going to kind of be like, hey, let's put Marte on ice right now. Cause let's be honest, like he probably needs some ice from playing a couple of innings in the field the other day. Yeah. And hold the what did they call it? The chancleta? Hold up that sandal, baby. That's what his thing. Posing, taking pictures, being Juan Soto's friend. So, and then in terms of the slots and the order, honestly, you could tell me however you want. I've always, I remember growing up when the Yankees would have left, right, or you have a switch hitter in the mix. I always love doing that because it takes away options for the relievers. Now with the 3-out rule, it kind of, takes that that's not as important now, because you kind of have to, if you have a big lefty, you can't just put him in for one batter unless he gets out of the inning. So because of that, I would probably go as much left right as you can. I like the way that looks.
Yeah, Clem, you made a lot of good points there. I think, with the addition of Mullins, it's just you run into a lot of good problems, like you say, if your problem is where can we put Marte in the lineup, or how are we going to get Vientos at bats? That's a good issue to have. I mean, and like you said, a couple of guys are automatic outs right now, so you could just play it series by series, or week to week who's playing well, kind of ride the hot hand. But I think even though Mullins' numbers don't really jump off the page, it totally adds a ton of depth to the lineup.
Yeah, and I think like you said, Matt, it's like a good problem to have, right? Like you run into a log jam, and I saw a bunch of people on Twitter saying, "How do you not trade one of these like 4 young guys for a starting pitcher to like kind of alleviate the log jam in a way?" Like I think that's kind of wishful thinking. Like I think these starting pitchers are still claiming like a high trade value where you're not going to be like, "Oh, do you want Luis Angel Acuna?" Like we don't really put him in our lineup that often, but like you guys can have him.
Yeah.
It's not realistic, and I think if you were to get like, and I think we all would have loved another starting pitcher because there's been a little bit of struggle there sometimes, but I just think that you run into a problem you'd like to have with a logjam with a lot of young players who kind of go hot and cold, but there are times when they're hot. And Clem, I'm an avid My Mom's Basement listener, so we say trust the Feige, we trust the Stearns. It's that's the way it goes. But I think they had a really great deadline there, and they're in a good place right now.
Trust the Stearns is what we say in this house. It is our motto now, for sure. And like we always say this on our podcast too. Like if there was guys that you wanted to trade for, like a starter in this sense, who's the guy? Because like you can't be like, well, if Joe Ryan had gotten traded, you'd be like, all right, did you want to match this prospect haul? But like you can't just be like, here are our guys. Like you said, here are the guys who are clearly flawed, and a lot of these guys we've given up on and loved again. Even Vientos before last year, everyone was like, this guy just sucks. He's a quadruple A guy. Beatty has had his struggles. Mauricio's had a little bit of a leeway because he had the injury and he was good when he first came up. But it's like, you tell me the guys that were traded, because the other thing is that GM has to hit the accept button, and it's not an easy thing to do. So I'm with you. Like when they were like Luis Angel Acuna for Luis Robert, I'm like, sign me the fuck up. Yeah, well, that's just an idiot on Twitter saying that who doesn't have any true sources. Which, by the way, shout out to the Mets. They keep that. They were rumored to be in Mullins, and they were rumored to be in Helsley, but like the leaks are not what they used to be, and I really do appreciate that as a fan.
It's a sign of a good organization when there's very quiet leaks or zero leaks at all.
Yep,
absolutely. But yeah, like we kind of dipped our toes into this a little bit, but like just want to add on to the starting pitcher aspect of it, and I'm just interested to see what happens because obviously, assuming everyone's healthy, like we're hoping everyone stays healthy. So, we're thinking the rotation for the playoffs will again if we get there will be Manaea, Senga, Peterson, and then the fourth spot would be up for grabs. Ideally, if we would have traded for someone, that would have been great. But however, I also do think that it's not the worst thing in the world to either go with Holmes or probably McGill, depending on if he's healthy or not. Then I know that Martino just said, I think it was Martino that just said, like, I don't be surprised if they bring up who was it, McLean, that's the top prospect. So. Yep. Who knows? Maybe he'll be like another addition to the team that they didn't get through to the trade. So yeah, I don't know what the process, what the thought process is going to be there, but I'm definitely interested to see what happens.
I think as soon as we didn't trade for a starter, everyone's like, all right, you guys better call it McLean then. Like, because listen, I love the Mets. This team has been very good for most of the season. I can't keep watching like 4 and 2/3, 5 inning starts. And even though like we have a point now where our bullpen's so good, like Reed Garrett is our 5th inning guy. And I love Reed Garrett. Stanek, like those guys being in that part is almost unfair. But it's like at some point you do need to have a starter that's going to go and like, I asked this on my podcast. I'd love to see if gun to head, if you would have one guy start a game for you, like game 1 or game 5 or game 7 of a series, who would you feel most confident in out of our starters that we have now? And listen, I think McLean, I would love for McLean to be brought up. I'd love to either Holmes to the bullpen seems the most natural because he has the experience there. I saw Stern say they're not, exploring that now, but GM speak, I don't listen to that stuff. Montas, like that just feels like a dud sign. Like it didn't work out like all the ones did last year. But so who would you guys, if you had to say game 7 World Series, you need to have one guy start one game. Who do you feel the most confident in right
now? Me personally, I would say, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Go, Matt. You're good.
I would say Sean Manaea. I mean, he had a great start against the Phillies in the DS. I know he had a kind of, I forget what his stat line was, but kind of a tough start versus the Dodgers in the CS, but it was kind of just like he ran out of gas. But I always feel the most confident with Manaea. I feel like he can give you the length at times. Thing is, I mean, Senga probably has better numbers, But I feel like Senga, it's tough to get the length out of him sometimes, and you don't really know what you're going to get out of him in October because we haven't seen it yet. We have seen success from Minaya in a Met uniform in October, so I would say him.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, not only does he have the experience, he's shown that he's been able to face adversity, and then power through. Yeah, like he was better than Severino last year, but like Severino, he had like that. He got like shelled in the first couple of innings, but then he was able to just keep on plowing through. I think the Minaya has that in him. Senga's stuff is awesome. Like if you look at his baseball savant page, like it always looks great. But that being said, I don't really trust him like in like a big game scenario. We saw him granted it was a pretty small sample size, but last year against the Dodgers, he was just pretty brutal. Like it wasn't that he didn't have stuff. It was that he just completely rolled over. And I still feel like he has like a little bit of Diaz in him. As far as it goes for like as far as it goes for like just like having complete meltdowns. So not sure if we go with him. And then like as much as I love Dave Peterson, like he's like I was someone who was very high on him like when he was younger and like. And like he has like proven to be a lot, but like there's still like a small part of me. I'm like okay, I'm like yes, I trust you, but like I just don't know if you're going to have to be my number one.
Yeah, I was actually my first thought was Peterson. I think just because like I think Senga's probably had the better numbers over the last 2 years, but the availability is somewhat of a concern sometimes. And you know we love Sean Manaea in this house, right? We love him. He's awesome, but. My first thought was Peterson, just because I think he's had great numbers for like a sustained period of time, like the last year and a half. I would say he's been, or maybe let's call it a year, maybe. He's been great, and you know I know it's with Peterson. I think early on his career, maybe even a little bit sometimes now when he gets into like a pinch, it's like very tense. You know, sometimes he does tend to unravel. But I think that's like the beauty of having this bullpen now is that. If you are in a game 7 of the World Series at NLCS and he gets into some trouble, he only goes like 2 1/3. You have this like dominant bullpen where you can bring in like an extender until the 6th inning. And then you have these guys that can just like go the distance, which is really good. But, you know, I think there is a, I wouldn't even say concern. Concern's too much of a harsh word, but like that 4th starter would have been cool. But that's like, you know, they had such a great deadline. It's almost like selfish thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like you said, the starters, everything does get like compacted and you're moving guys to the bullpen come October, which is like all we care about. Hey, if the Mets don't make the playoffs, that's a whole other podcast for another day, right? But we have to think like that because that's what we're going for here. We're going for the World Series now that we're in this stage with the franchise. And it's funny, when I asked that question on the podcast, every single person said Peterson. And I didn't think anyone was going to. I mean, I thought a few people would say Peterson, but I understand it. And he was good in the playoffs last year. I feel like he might have had one star who was a little bumpy. I could be off on that. Minaya does feel like he feels like the leader when he's there and right. And we haven't seen him, you know, even the other night. Like he's asking for one more, which I loved. And then, you know, Mendoza didn't give it to him. But I do feel pretty confident with him out there. Hopefully he's fresh. That's going to be the biggest thing. If Senga's fresh, if Senga, like, this lower body on him, I don't know if he's gonna like twist an ankle and be out for the year or something like that.
It's and I think last year in the Milwaukee series in Game 3, I declared that Peterson slander was postponed for a year after he came out after the Pete home run, and it kind of goes a little bit forgotten. But that bottom of the 9th, I think he gave up a walk and then got the double play, or maybe I'm thinking about that, but. Peterson slander for me is postponed for a couple more weeks at least.
I also just remember game 160 when no, it wasn't game 162, it was game 160 because Rays were 160 and 162. But like game 160, I remember it was a Sunday when we were just chilling in the living room. We had red zone on the big screen and then the Mets game on the little screen just because we had so little confidence that they were going to win because of how they're playing. And then he just came out and shoved. We're like, holy crap, we're really going to make this a series. And again, they were playing some of the worst baseball. He's like, no, this isn't over yet. And then it was like that. I'm like, oh my god.
His John Main start.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone raise your hand if Steven Matt's flaming out has affected the way you think about David Peterson. They kind of look the same, right? They're like these big, long, lefty white guys, and we all thought Matz was going to be awesome. And then Peterson has to pay for the sins of Steven Matz. So I'm like, that's true.
Absolutely.
Chris, before we move on, I kind of want to just add on what John said about having such, like, you know, getting another starter, like people like Dylan Cease was floated around, Joe Ryan was floated around. Like that would have been awesome to pick up. Obviously, the price was crazy high. I mean, the White Sox were asking for Jonah Tong for Luis Robert. Like, price was crazy high for starting pitching. Even I know, obviously Robert's center fielder, but I think that's why bulking up the bullpen is such like a blessing in a way, because you said you can have a guy go 4 1/3 and then have Reed Garrett come in, or Ryan Stanek the other day said I'm going to be coming in the 4th inning now. It's just yeah, even Holmes, guys that have both experience pitching and in the bullpen, and I think David Stearns purposely bulked up the bullpen so we would see less of Brazaban for our dad's mental health, because I don't think that guy could see Brazaban anymore. But very very good point, John. I think bulking up the bullpen helps starting pitching, obviously, in a way.
I think we have a running pool for how many appearances it takes for each of the new relief pitchers for my dad to start complaining about them when they're warming up in the bullpen. This guy, he's got like a 1.3 ERA in the last 2 weeks. He's like, oh, I can't stand this guy.
Bullpens and dads do not get along, man. That is the truest thing ever. My dad was out on Heilman immediately, and I was like, Dad, this is going to be a long – and trust me, it was a very long, whatever amount of years it was. The one thing he is a Reed Garrett guy, though. Like, he is dyed in the wool, and he's like, this guy, they don't treat him right. They just abuse him. I'm like, Dad, I'm saying the same thing. So I guess if they find their guy, they'll stick to him. But yeah, bullpens and dads do not.
Yep. So before we move on to the next part where we just talk about teams in general, I realized that I forgot at the beginning of every episode. I usually list off famous players that have worn their number, and now that we're on episode 89, we start to forget more and more. I decided just to stick with our own teams. So Kevin Boss and Kadarius Toney were the number 89.
Young Joker.
Yeah. Kevin Boss Super Bowl, and we'll give him that. And there was one Mets in the history of the franchise to wear the number 89. I guarantee you, none of you will get this. Maybe I don't know if
was Maton 88 last year.
I don't know what Maton was, but yeah, it wasn't Maton.
Okay.
Was it did Gomez or Cedeno wear it randomly? No,
maybe not 89 though.
Every week I think about researching it before the episode. I just forget, to look smart. But
I was so good for a couple weeks, and I realized I forgot to do it last week too for 88, which I'm sure I can come up with those. But 89, the one player to ever wear that's right. The one player to ever wear the number 89 for the New York Mets is Robert Stock. He pitched for the Mets in 2021. 2021 was a blur for me, just because that.
So recently.
What was it?
So recently. Wow.
Exactly. Well, because he pitched. So this is right after I was in Miami, by the way. So this was. So he had 3 appearances. In June 16th, July 7th, and July 20th. So 4. What is that? So 4 innings, 1 inning. So that I don't know how the team was doing at the time. I know they were in first place for a while, but I think it was a rough year. So yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember watching him at all. I guess it was one of those 3 days I wasn't watching. So yeah, as I mentioned in the past, we're gonna start doing players' birthdays rather than the numbers, because once we reach episode 100, it'll start to get a little tougher. So
the Jason Pierre-Paul episode next week. That'll be
yeah,
that's right. Yep.
Was there anyone that went to your head immediately when you heard 89? Is there any player in general?
No.
Was Steve Smith 89?
That was mine. Steve
Smith was the
first guy I thought of. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So the Mets weren't the only team that made a bunch of trades. A bunch of other teams looked to make upgrades and succeeded. Clem, does any team or any particular trade stand out to you the most from today or the last couple of days?
So the Suarez to the Mariners was all right, finally. I feel like the Mariners are kind of our sister franchise in misery out there, right? They've had some really cool moments, but they've never won the World Series. They've had some cool players. I like the Mariners. The only beef I've ever had with the Mariners was when we traded Kelenic for Diaz and Cano, which everyone has to remember. Kelenic ended up being a bust, but his value was more than a closer and an albatross of a contract that would have ruined us if Steve Cohen doesn't buy the Mets. Everyone just forgets that Robinson Cano was not a problem. So because of that, I'm happy the Mariners are going for it. I like the colors. Griffey was the man growing up. Very cool team. So I'm like happy they're going for it. I do feel like that guy though is tailor made to bat like 120 for like the next 2 months, and then it's like you can't even get mad because that's what Eugenio Suarez does. He either is crushing the ball or he's striking out. So hopefully it works out well for them. But man, I'm scared.
Yeah, the Mariners also got Josh Naylor was that like last week or something? So I mean, their pitching's always elite out there. So great pickups by them. I think they're really going for it, like you said.
I think, and this is definitely a Yankee hater podcast.
Yes.
But I do think they made some pretty solid moves over the past few weeks. Starting with McMahon. I mean, me and Matt were walking back from the beach today talking about it. They had McMahon a couple weeks or a week or so ago. Definitely a minus bat, I would say, but they didn't really need too much help with their lineup. And, he's like a vacuum at third base. And my God, do they need defense? I mean, I think they added another shortstop from the Rays. I can't really.
Caballero.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Is Volpe headed to the bench? I don't know, maybe in late games, but it's not like they really need his bat either. He isn't, I don't mean to pile on Anthony Volpe. I think the Yankee fans do that enough for me. And then they got Bednar, right? I mean, that was one of my main guys. We actually, the three of us and our dad, went to Pittsburgh about a month ago to that dreadful, awful series. But we wanted to see the stadium. We heard it's so great, and it's beautiful. It's awesome. But the Mets pretty much got their ass kicked all weekend, so that was tough. But Bednar, I think he's always shoved against the Mets, and it seems like he's been doing it against the rest of the league for a while. So good get for them. I think a lot of the teams that just like a common theme across the league, a lot of the teams that plan to be competing for a playoff run are really loading up their pens, which is cool to see. Like, it's a cool like trend in the league in a way. I just wish that the teams the Mets might be playing didn't get bullpen help too, like the Phillies. But I think the Yankees had a pretty solid deadline.
Yeah. Before I mention my team, you mentioned Anthony Volpe, John, friend of the pod, Timmy McEnany. He's been on a couple times to discuss college hoops. He actually struck out Anthony Volpe in high school, and he used to use it as a flex. But now he's like, who hasn't struck out Anthony Volpe? So he gets pissed when we bring it up now. But I agree. Yankees had as much as I want to hate on it, had a very solid deadline. They didn't give up a lot, and they got help that they needed. You mentioned Pittsburgh, John. What are the Pirates doing? Why is Tommy Pham and IKF still on their team? What are they doing? Sell everybody you can. I don't get it. They're my number one biggest loser. Another loser I had were the Cubs and Brewers. I mean, you're competing for the division there. The Cubs don't have any starting pitching, and like we said, starting pitching price is high, but go for it. Like, come on, you have an elite team right now, and you're gonna throw out Jamison Tyone in the second game of the series. Like, I think they needed some help. The Brewers, I don't know what they're doing. They didn't really do anything, but those are my three big losers. You guys were positive with the winners, so I went with the negative with the losers.
Good. You needed a balance there.
That's someone like you, Matt. That's someone like you.
If you ever need someone to hate on something, just ask me. Just go my way.
Let's see. Yeah, I have a whole thing right here. Let's see. Obviously the big one for me was Mason Miller to the Padres. I don't know if someone mentioned. That was. Obviously the I think it was John who said in our baseball chat yesterday, like I don't know if the Padres would have went all in with that deal if they didn't sweep the Mets this weekend. It's not a weekend, but it's quite interesting to see. Like it's 2025. Obviously, like I said in the beginning of the show, you need like a solid bullpen in order to do so. The Padres have they have a pretty solid lineup for the most part, but now they're like building a pretty well-rounded team, and I'm really interested to see how much this is going to translate to their successes in the near future.
Yeah, the Padres are a super interesting team. They traded, I wrote this down, they're number 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 12, 13, 17, 26, and 27th prospect today. Throughout the week, which is absurd. I mean, they got, like you said, Mason Miller, who is obviously an elite arm in the pen. They're going to try to stretch him out to a starter next year. They got Ryan O'Hearn, and I'm forgetting who the other bat they got is, but very, very scary deadline for the Padres, because if it doesn't work out in the next couple of years, they went all in for nothing.
And Go ahead, Clem.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, or they're just going to keep developing these guys and trade. Have you seen the list? Did you see that prospect list that AJ Preller has traded? It is ridiculous. It's like every young star in baseball, or not even young, just star in baseball, they've traded away over like the last like 5 to 10 years, and they have an NLCS appearance to show for it. And they put. Like the thing is, like, you can't keep getting away with this, but they do. I don't know, like, whoever's drafting or developing these guys are making these guys awesome, and then they just trade them away for like awesome players. It's a pretty sweet life in San Diego, other than the whole not winning World Series thing.
And they traded a ton for Tanner Scott last year too, right? Like it seems
that
like every year they really not empty the farm, but they go deep in their farm and they take these swings. And it kind of just sucks that they run into the Dodgers every year. It's like if you don't run into this 12-headed monster in Los Angeles, you probably are competing for a World Series. I remember even last year, this is probably just like being in the moment, being foolish. The Mets had beaten the Phillies, and the Dodgers were still playing the Padres, I think. And I was thinking to myself, like, the Padres are like kind of hot right now. Is it like? Is it weird to like want the Dodgers over the Padres? Obviously, like that was not something you should have wanted. But
no, I'm pretty sure that I said that out loud because we talked about the Mets after they made the NL after they beat the Phillies. I'm pretty sure I said I'm pretty sure word for word I said you never want to root for who you want to play next. You don't want to talk about you. However, the Dodgers are throwing a bullpen game every 3 games. So why would I not want to face I would definitely rather face the Padres. That ends up being the wrong decision, but rather face the Dodgers. But yeah, being the wrong decision. But yeah, it's the interesting franchise for sure.
Yeah.
All right. As I don't think there's any other deals. Obviously, there's a lot of other deals. Carlos Correa back to Houston.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Very awesome. I don't really know why Correa isn't the player he is anymore, or hasn't played like the player he was in Houston, I should say. I'm sure part of it has to do with the fact that he had like that injury concern. That the reason why the Mets didn't end up signing him. I'm sure part of it is the fact that he's aging. But I'm also sure part of it has to do with the fact that he just doesn't feel like he's at home. Obviously, he re-signed with Minnesota. After he re-signed with Minnesota, for a smaller deal. But I think that had to do with that was more of a have to deal rather than like wanting to stay at home. But I think that he's gonna feel more comfortable in Houston now. I think that even though they still have a few years left and maybe he'll continue to age more, I do think that at least for the time being, I think he's gonna feel much more comfortable there.
Just an absolute. It feels like a bullet was dodged by the Mets. The Mets dodged a few bullets.
Oh yeah,
the early Cohen years with him, Trevor Bauer. That was a bomb dodge essentially.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
George Springer, not as much. That wasn't terrible, but still, I don't think we would have been feeling great about the contract, especially because we ended up signing Nimmo and he became. I feel like there was a few others, but yeah, but that was like a feel good story. I don't even he might go to Houston, sucks at third base. They gave it a shot. I respect actually Houston for going for it though, right? I felt like they were much more involved to that than I thought they were going to be once everything got cooking.
The Cohen era has brought a lot of awesome signings for the Mets. Obviously Lindor and Soto, but even Verlander and Scherzer at the time were awesome. But you could argue the Dodgers are almost just as good. Missing out on Bauer. I mean, he's terrible in Japan now. It's not even like he's and then it's you mentioned we talked about Correa. It's shout out for the first time ever. I'm going to shout out the Mets medical staff because kudos on that. That was thank God for that. But yeah, I mean it's exciting though. I think Correa in Houston. Hopefully it'll be hopefully he'll give them a little boost and they can compete with the Yanks a little bit in the playoffs.
And yeah, speaking of which, Houston, we're Astros fans on this podcast, right? Yeah. They banged on garbage pails, cry about it. I love the Houston Astros. We call them in our group text on, we got to believe, we call them the protectors of the realm. Because whenever the Yankees were rising up, they were the ones who slayed them for the most part. I mean, obviously the Dodgers did that last year for us. But it's so many times the Yankees fans are puffing their chest and the Astros would just kill them. I love this stupid team. I don't care how much they cheated. I love them with all my heart. So I'm happy for the people of Houston.
And then the New York sports media tried to like paint Beltran as like the villain of that. And you heard that like Beltran was like the creator of that. It's like Mets fans are like, nice, man. Nice.
Yeah. I want him as manager. Yeah, that's a great hire. And of course, we're the only one where the manager just got fired and never got his job back. And it was the Mets who weren't involved and won a thing from it. Red Sox get their manager back. Hinch is poaching up in Detroit. And we just lost our manager forever, who I heard Cohen really liked. And he was mad that they fired him.
Yeah,
Awesome.
another like Correa going to the Astros, obviously great to feel good story and everything. It's also nice to see an AL team actually trying to get better. I feel like it was just the Yankees that were trying to get better in the AL, and then the NL was forming the Avengers, and nobody else in the AL was doing anything. So I'm happy the Astros tried to get better at least.
I watched a lot of series as a kid, and it wasn't every year, but there was a lot of times where the Yankees would go up, and it's like the Twins they'd play, or they play like even the A's who were good, and then they just turn into pumpkins against them. And I'm like, man, last year was the worst. Like no one, Guardians, I guess, had a little something, but that entire league had no shot, and the Yankees were not that good. I'm like, they're going to do it again this year without Cole, and God knows what's going to happen with Judge. And now it's like, I feel like Houston can be a problem. You never know with Toronto. Did Toronto really do anything big?
They did. They not big, but they got someone. Who'd they get? They got a reliever. Did they get Shane Bieber? Yeah.
That could be a big one for them.
And Dominguez. I don't know position he plays. Sarah Anthony, is he a reliever? Is he?
He's a reliever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to know that they're going to have a little bit of pushback, whether it's the Blue Jays, the Mariners, even like we said, the Astros, the Central. I mean, the thing is, like, I've become so conditioned where like this Tiger team, it's like that's the kind of team the Yankees always beat in the playoffs. So I'm not getting my hopes up at all about that. Right?
Exactly. I had the same thought about like the Tigers are like this fun team with Scooball, and they're making this like run. They've gone on a little bit of a skid recently, but like they get into October, the Yankees are just like they'll probably like pick off 1 or 2 in Detroit and then win 2 in New York, and it's just like I've seen this movie so many times before. And I don't want to sound like a bitter Mets fan, but I've thought about this like a few times. You mentioned last year the Yankees just kind of running through the AL, and they weren't really insanely impressive. Like if the Mets faced the Yankees in the Subway Series last year, like again, I'm extremely, extremely biased, but like I think the Mets win that, like not easily, but like I think they win it like comfortably.
Like comfortably 6. I think they could have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had their number all year, and they were the better team. But we're not going to talk a bunch of ifs on this podcast, even though that's 75% of what we do.
Exactly. All right. So I don't know how much you guys want to talk about how awful the owners are and how awesome Bryce Harper is, because even though he's on the Phillies, he's one of the cool. Like I to this day, I still think he's so cool. Like he has the swagger, and also now he's like sticking it to the man. That's like he's like a whole like hero story now. So and that's another thing we can talk about Cohen. Upon I have zero doubt in my mind that if Cohen was the owner at that point, the Mets would have gotten Harper instead of the Phillies.
And then have
yeah, and Wheeler. So
Wheeler, Machado, Harper.
Betts.
Betts is actually like they probably would have had Betts. I think
it was if it hadn't fallen through, we would have gotten Betts because it would have lined up. It would have been the Lindor trade, but with Betts instead. And I guess at this point, whatever. But Mookie Betts is awesome.
Yes, he is
breaking.
But yeah, obviously, Paston. I think it was Paston who came out with that story about like Harper literally going nose to nose with Rob Manfred saying like we don't want an effing salary cap or floor. We don't want any of that. Potentially leaving a lockout for 2027. Clem, I'm sure you and your guys talked about it, but what are your thoughts on that so far?
I don't think we're gonna get a lot of baseball after 2026. So let's go win a World Series this year or next, because it might be a year or two, and then God knows what everyone looks like after that kind of strike or whatever. I think the owners want that salary cap bad, and the reason I know this is because the way those guys treat their teams and the lack of respect they have for just themselves, and like they have no shame. I'm talking the owners that need the floor and like the Pirates, all the stuff they did, the nonsense, like they just manage it poorly. And then they go to the players acting like they're the ones who have to bail them out for their bad decisions and just poor management. So I hate baseball owners. So other than our glorious guy and a couple others, and it's going to make, I don't think there's ever a world where like the baseball players will accept a salary cap. I think it will come to the point of replacement players for like years and essentially stuff like that. But if there ever is a salary cap in baseball and it hamstrings the Mets after they finally got the guy I waited for my whole life, and I watched the Yankees across town spend all that money and everything else, I honestly I might just quit baseball. That's why I'm like, if they could just win in the next 2 years, I'll be like Moonlight Graham and Field of Dreams and just disappear into the corn if we win, because that's all I need is just one. And if they do that, I mean, we're definitely getting a work stoppage. That was like, and Manfred is a piece of garbage. So I expect only the worst from him and all the owners. And shout out Bryce Harper, like you said, he's so awesome that he's a Philly and they love him there. And I'm like, I cannot hate that guy. That guy's cool with me forever and a day. And I hated Jimmy Rollins with all my soul, but there are certain guys that transcend sports hate, as crazy as it sounds. And Bryce Harper is one of them.
And I think, again, I'm going to sound like a Yankee fan by the end of this podcast, but Aaron Judge is seems like a really nice, cool guy.
Yeah.
He's very respectful.
My favorite tweet, I don't know if Clem, you're the one that retweeted it, but I feel like it was one of your guys that retweeted it. It's my favorite thing is when journalists try to connect athletes to real people in real life. They're saying oh, Freddie Freeman is an awesome athlete, but an even better person. Really, Freddie Freeman's a better person than athlete. Freddie Freeman is a 99th percentile athlete, but you tell me he's a better person than the person who invented the printing press or everything. He's a better person, really.
I agree, though. I think this potential lockout or the salary cap, the salary floor, it's so on brand for Mets fans to finally pay some guy $1 billion, and they're just like, yeah, we're going to cap this right after you sign this contract. But I think and it's easy for Mets fans to be like, there shouldn't be a salary cap. I just think you need to really hold owners more accountable. You talk about the Minnesota Twins have the lowest payroll in baseball this year, and their owner is worth $4 billion. It's I think it's been shown over so many years that if you spend money on the team, on the players, people, fans will show up, they will go to the games, they'll buy merchandise. It just seems like a positive correlation when you invest in your team. And it stinks because a lot of these rich owners treat their team as an investment. They just want to see a return on that investment. And that's why I think we're so fortunate to have not only this owner who's worth $20 billion, because, people have rich owners, but the thing that sets Steve Cohen apart is that he's a true fan, he actually cares. He wants to see the Mets win. I think we've said it a few times on this podcast. Steve Cohen is like us if we had billions of dollars, because we would just spend it all on the Mets. We wouldn't spend it on anything but the Mets. But it's unfortunate. And Clem, you said, I think it just shows how much you need to go win either this year or next year, because who knows what the MLB is going to be like after 2027.
I don't know if you guys can hear my son upstairs screaming, but that kid is 7 years old and he has fallen in love with baseball and the Mets. We're about to start playing football and he's naming every single. All right, I'm like, who are you going to go today? He's like, Tyrone Taylor's playing center. And he just does the whole lineup. And if they take a year away from that kid, let alone multiple years, I am going to be furious. And I lived through the 94 strike, and I remember baseball was my favorite sport by far. And after then, I was pretty out on it. I was one of the guys that the home run race is what kind of helped bring me back in. And then the Mets got Piazza and got better, which helped too. But man, I was in a bad place with the sport. And this day and age, these kids barely care as it is. It's hard to get them to care about anything. And you're going to have back then we had nothing to compete with. Now there's iPads, there's YouTube, there's a million different things that they can get into. Baseball is the fact it's there every day is its biggest strength. And these asshole idiots don't realize that. And they take it away from us every so often. It's nuts. What they did during the pandemic was the craziest thing of all time. Everyone's like, thank God we have baseball. They're like, nah, we're going to completely ruin the season and give you a 60-game one after
ridiculous.
All about money. They are the worst.
Yeah.
Worst.
Absolutely.
I'm glad your son is taking part in the, daydreaming about playing in like a real game in the backyard. Because I remember we used to do that growing up. I remember one time, I think me and Chris were playing one-on-one wiffle ball in the backyard, and he said, "All right, bullpen change." And he said, "This bullpen change is brought to you by Geico." It's like just a total SNY like plug. That's the best.
It's so funny you said that. He goes, all right, now Braden's up. I'm like, Braden? There's no Braden on the Mets. He goes, my cousin Braden. And he goes, hits a home run and he wins a $20 Dunkin' Donuts card. And he goes next to me, he's like posing for the camera. He was doing the in-game advertising, like fun things. And I'm like, man, you are hooked, huh, dude? Yeah. So
nice.
That like awesome. The bullpen will hopefully be the next thing he gets into now. Awesome. He's bringing things sponsored by Verizon.
Yeah, Clem, I'm happy you slandered Rob Manfred a little bit. My phone, when I type Rob Manfred, it autocorrects to man fraud in all caps now. So that's where we're at. And it would just
Frank
be
the Tank has infected your phone, huh?
Yeah. It's just such like baseball is finally getting its mojo back from like the pandemic, like you said. Like, they have a couple faces now. Like, I feel like kids are getting involved, like loving the game again, and they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, everyone loves it now. Let's take 2 years off. Like, it's just so infuriating. It's so infuriating. Like, if they just had like actual fans, just throw like one of us in one of the meetings and talking to the owners, be like, come on guys, please. Like, just no cap. Just please spend a little bit more money. Like, you'll make more money. Just
look at Citi Field. Look how many people go there. We're getting sellouts in the middle of the week. And granted, we're a baseball town, but like when like the Twins are good, like Minnesota's filled and they're going crazy for their team. Pirates, when they made their wild card run way back when, it's like it's jam packed and you could sell the merch. People will buy whatever it takes. There's a million things going on, but live events, there's not that much going on. And if you're in a city that has a baseball team, you will go to the games. It's nuts to me.
Absolutely. So we still got so we still have like a little bit of time left, and Clem, as long as you still have time, I'd like to throw you guys some like trivia, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So our glorious king David Wright's number was retired a couple weeks ago. I believe all four of us were in attendance, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Clem, you were there too.
Yep.
Yeah. So can you guys name me the top 10 teammates of David Wright according to WAR?
Ooh. All right.
Beltran 1.
Beltran is number 1.
Reyes
is number 2.
Delgado
is number 9.
Ooh, barely made it. Now, is this just as his teammate or a career?
So it's actually his teammate. So it's Wright's tenure actually from 2004.
Gotcha.
And I actually cut it off at 2016, not 2018.
Delgado could have a higher WAR for his career, but as a Met, it's
solely his Met. Correct.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. And where are you going for? You're going from 04 to 18, or are you going
16? Because he didn't really play in 17 and 18.
Let's be honest, guys. It ended in 16. I love David Wright. He's my favorite player of all time by a mile.
Yes.
One of the guys where I'm like, how is he a better person than an athlete?
Yeah.
But based on what I'm hearing, I think he might be Jesus Christ reincarnated. That is the one people that are like, no,
honestly,
seriously.
Speak got me choked up that entire thing. So I'm like, oh my god, he's the man.
He might be Jesus Christ reincarnated, because I was trying to explain to my girlfriend about him. I was just like, I pull up like pictures and YouTube clips of him. I was like, look how handsome this guy is. Are you kidding me? Like, you see that jawline? Like, all right, let's think about this.
Okay, you got 1, 2, and 9.
This is when you start getting sad about the Mets during it.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to wait. Yeah, like once you like see some of the names on this here, you're like, wait, really? Like,
I just thought I was like, is Ike Davis on this list? Like, that's so
Ike Davis is number 11 on this list. He's the first guy off.
Is Harvey on this?
So this Matt, this is strictly position player. We'll do pitchers right after this. Like,
okay.
Assuming you guys get through this quick, you get through this quick.
Clem, that's got to be one now.
Murph.
Daniel Murphy is number 3.
Yeah.
Wow, he's 3. Jesus, that fell off a cliff. We went right. Is it Beltran to Murph?
Is Lucas Duda on this list?
Lucas Duda is number 6.
Oh man,
that's brutal. I think I was listening to We Gotta Believe a week or two ago, right after the David Wright game, and it was just like, you really realize how like sad some of those years were. Like, the talent they surrounded him with was just like brutal.
truly bittersweet. Like his career does have that bittersweet sadness
Yeah.
to it,
Absolutely.
And that right way, I appreciate they didn't sugarcoat it too much because like there's a lot of bad stuff in there for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Is Uncle Cliffy on there? Because they did play during like a little bit of his run.
Cliff is number 14.
14.
I'm thinking
Let me know if
Juan
you need me to-
Lagares. He won a Gold Glove.
Juan Lagares is number 8 on this list.
All right.
Oh my God.
That's brutal.
All right, you got 4 more to go.
I mean, it can't be. Angel Pagan can't be on the list.
Angel Pagan is number 4 on this list. Number 4.
Oh my God. And I love Angel Pagan, but oh my goodness.
Number 4, he was his 4th best teammate.
He was his best teammate probably then, essentially from the end of the
For first time, he
2000s
was
to the
definitely-
2010s before
Yeah.
Murph.
Definitely, yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, we got.
Is there a catcher on this list, Chris?
There is a catcher on this list.
Is it? It's not Josh Tolley, right? Is it Paul LaDuca?
It's neither of those guys.
Wow.
It's not John Buck.
It's not John Buck.
Thank God.
It's not Piazza, right?
That'd be darn
Was
out
it?
there.
It is Darno. He's number. I was surprised at that. He's number 5. I guess I guess what happened is like he was like good for like that stretch of 2015, and then also like beginning of 2016, and then he fell off a little bit. So I'm assuming that's what happened there. It was why he's so high. But yeah,
So 2 good years gets you in the top 5 at this point.
pretty much. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So what numbers are we missing, Chris?
So is Yo on there then for like a year and a half?
Yo is number 13.
Okay. That's interesting to me.
It is interesting.
But
I don't know.
guess he really was only there for like
2 months.
A year and a half.
Yeah. Okay, so we're missing number 7 and number 10. We got an infielder and an outfielder.
It's not Conforto, right?
It is not Conforto.
Okay,
Conforto's number 18. Yeah.
Too late, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's I was hoping it was too late. Infielder
Green?
and outfielder.
Not Sean Green.
Sean Green was one of my guesses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Sean Green's. Yeah, I don't think he's in
It
the top
can't
30.
be Jason fucking Bay. It can't be.
It is not Jason Bay. No, it is not Jason Bay.
I would have been angry if it was Jason Bay. Yeah, I would have been from sad to angry.
Mhm.
Do we have years?
Years?
Like
Yeah.
years?
So the outfitter is. I think he came in 2014 and left in 2016. I think something like that, or was it later? No, it was early. Yeah, like 2017. I think he left. Yeah, left in 2017. Traded in 2017. I think.
When did Jay Bruce become a Met? Oh, that was later, right?
Yeah, that was later. Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Church, when was he a Met? Was that early 2010s?
He's early 2010s. This guy's much better than the guys you're listing, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Kadire or Church too. I don't think it's Kadire either.
Final out of
Kadire-
Chase Stadium.
Not
The way Wright was talking about Kadire and saying, I'm like, dude, I know he's your friend, but trust me, Michael Kadire was not very good from It's like, I knew once you got Kadire, I thought we could win it all. I'm like, Michael Kadire?
An outfielder, I'm trying to think of.
He's a corner outfielder who played a little bit of center field, mostly corner outfield though.
Oh, Grandy Man.
Grandy Man's number 7.
Oh,
Okay, nice.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's
then-
a nice one.
Yeah, and then one more number 10. You got an infielder here.
Infielder, okay. The Ike Davis name being thrown. Was Ike Davis, where was he on that list?
He was number 11.
Jesus Christ.
yeah. Johnson, that's a joke. Hey, 7th and Rookie of the Year voting for a reason, guys. Come on.
yeah.
My wife bought an Ike Davis. She's like, I need to get a jersey. I was like, honestly, I think Ike Davis is going to be here. Is the Palace. And like, I think I would have been right on that if he didn't get Valley
He was
Fever.
good. Yeah, he was good.
I had an I Like Ike T-shirt, and I wore it to school, and all my friends were like, "Who the fuck is Ike Davis?" Like,
The epitome of being a Mets fan.
You'll
is
see.
Ike Davis.
You'll
Oh,
see.
my God. So if Wright was 3rd for a lot of these, so he's not a third baseman. You're going short as Reyes for a lot of time. I guess he could have
was it
left.
Tejada?
It is Ruben Tejada, number 10.
Nice.
Oh,
Oh my God. I mean, this is sad. Sad is the word
Yeah.
for that. Yeah.
So would you guys like to do the pitchers, or did you go through enough and going through that list?
There were
I feel like the pitchers will be a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
will be
'cause there's
easier.
some good
Pitcher's gonna be
pitchers.
easier. I'll tell you that. Pitcher's gonna be
there
easier.
were like 2 guys on the hitters list that I felt good about, and then after that, it was like, oh,
Yeah.
Once you got through Murphy, you're like, okay, this is getting yeah.
I said Jay Bruce with some confidence. That's how bad that list is.
Harvey, DeGrom, Syndergaard,
Okay,
and
Okay, so Harvey's number 3, DeGrom is number 7, Syndergaard is not on the list. Syndergaard's number 11. I think he's first off because it was 2015.
Johan.
John Maine.
Johan is number 1. John
Nice.
Maine is number 9.
John
Pedro
Neese.
in that short time there. Did Pedro?
John
make it in
Neese
that
is
short time?
John Neese. So surprised. John Neese is number 2. He was with Mets for a very long time.
Starting to get sad again. Is it starters only? I don't know if relievers even get WAR.
Relievers are qualified, but no, there's no relievers on this. Yeah,
Okay.
Billy Wagner's the first one. He's number 13.
Okay. And did Pedro make it?
Pedro is number 6.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh boy. Going back to Pelfrey.
Mike Pelfrey is number 5.
Jeez.
Fun facts about Mike Pelfrey. I'm sure John and Matt. Yeah, I'm sure you remember this too, Clem. I went through it. Out of the guys in the top 10, Mike Pelfrey is the only one with a save, with a single save. Do you remember what game that was?
I feel like I saw it, but I can't recall it now.
It was the 20 inning game against St. Louis. I forgot what year it was.
That game.
Yeah.
That's when you are like, is this worth it being a Mets fan? Like I remember I had
Exactly.
some dark thoughts during that.
I forgot which inning it was, but like it was. I think it was it was the 16th inning. I think that like whoever the closer was at the time, like gave up like the hits to Yadier Molina, of course, because of who else.
Of course.
Yeah.
Chris, we were in. Was that the game we were at? Like a
we were at our father's best friend's son's confirmation party, so we knew nobody at that party. Yeah, so that's where
we stood in the lobby for like 6 hours and just watched the entire game.
And then I forgot. We also drove home to our. We didn't drive home. We needed to watch this game. We drove to our grandparents' house right after that, actually, so we could watch the game because it was so insane.
Was that the Staten? We
was
watched
the
that
Staten,
game
yep.
at? I remember that.
It was at the
I
Staten,
remember
yep.
that.
Chris, I was
Yeah.
gonna say there's no fun facts about Mike Pelfrey, but I think you provided one. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Okay, so
I still remember that that Cardinals game too, when they instituted the man on second to kill like crazy games like that. I always think of the Cardinals game.
Yeah.
I, was like, I never want to feel
Yep.
that feeling again. I was like, you know what? We're ruining destroying the history of baseball. I do not care. Also, you guys know the fun fact about Harvey, little dark fun fact, that he started pitching well because he had found a psychiatrist, like a sports psychiatrist, and then over the winter, the psychiatrist died. And then he basically went back to shit again. So it's like you can't catch a break as a Met or a Mets fan. You truly can't.
It's like the
Yeah,
only time we hear about like a therapist dying, and it's
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So what do
we
we
got-
have here?
you got 3 more. Number 4, number 8, number 10.
R.A. Dickey.
R. Dickey's number 4.
Nice.
Cy Young.
He's the fourth best pitcher.
Again, I'm throwing out these names, hoping they're
20,
like
2012 is
Yeah.
2012 is doing a lot of carrying for that number 4.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
I still have my foam hand too of the knuckleball that they gave out. That was a sick
Yeah.
giveaway.
Uh,
While we're thinking here, I'd like to remind everyone that Mike Pelfrey gave up a bomb in the first inning of the opening of Citi Field.
First batter, Jody Garrett. That's a
Yeah.
fun fact.
which was a real bomb because that fence was probably like 950 down the right field line.
I mean, perfect being a Mets fan. The way they ended Shea, the way they opened City, everything was perfect. Mets.
oh yeah.
Oh, your young superstar is great at hitting opposite field home runs. Let's make it 430 to right center.
Oh God. I love that they booed the Wilpons when he mentioned their name too.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
"Boo,"
Yeah,
just
okay.
the
Oh,
vitriol that came out of the crowd
Yeah.
instantly.
Everyone.
I feel like there's another niece out, like a local, well, let's see.
Dylan G isn't on this list, right, Chris?
Dylan G is number 12.
That's who I was thinking.
Number
of, Dylan
12.
G.
Yeah, another opening day guy, number 12.
So I would.
Did you say Wheeler?
I was going to say, can't
No,
be
no.
Wheeler,
Wheeler's,
right? 'Cause,
Wheeler's number 16. Yeah, no.
Pretty young.
Bartola.
Bartolo is number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So then 7 we have left.
Number 7. No, number 8. Yeah, number 8.
Where was Maine on? You said Maine was on there?
Yeah, Maine's number 9.
I love
Did Glavin have a good year with us? Did he even have a good
Glavin
year?
is number 8 on this list.
Wow.
Oh, how 1 star can make you feel about a guy. You know,
Exactly.
I don't even his years with the Braves don't even compare to that 1 star.
Yeah, so honorable mention. So Syndergaard is number 11, G's 12, Wagner 13, Bobby Parnell 14, and Aaron Howland 15.
Parnell. Wait, who'd you say was 15?
Howland.
Oh my God. Clem, you mentioned him earlier in the episode. I was 9 years old when he was just like tormenting the Mets in 2006. I still remember how awful he was. Like,
that's a core memory. Like the Mets, like the first bad player you root for. That's like every team has to have one. Right? You always have to have the punching bag. I don't even know who the punching bag is on this. We've all like Jared Young was in for a minute. Certain guys have rode that wave. He was the guy for like 3 years too. He just took that mantle and ran with it.
And now we're so broken that like for years, a couple of years ago, like Lindor was the punching bag on the team. It's like, are we kidding? Like, you guys understand how bad this team used to be? Like,
boys, you're gonna see it too. I saw it with Beltran in 06. I saw it with Piazza when Piazza batted like 380 when he first got traded here, but he batted like 200 with runners in scoring position, or he didn't have like an RBI, the runners in scoring for a little bit, and the papers and radio ate him alive. So it's just our fan base is broken. It's broken mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever you want to call it. So that's all. And that list, those 2 lists are part of the reason why it's like, we're not crazy, guys. Everyone sucks.
I remember you did the the bracket of Mets years ago.
Miserable bracket.
I was like at work listening to that podcast years ago, and I was just like, oh my God. Like that's
a 7 seed?
Amazing.
That got us through the pandemic too, because like there was no baseball. We're like, all right, back to the bracket, and the guy's like an hour. We got like 2 matchups in, and we're like, all right, we're gonna wrap it up for the week. We got an hour long.
All right, awesome. So, Clem, thanks so much for coming on. We're definitely looking forward to the rest of the season. We'll hope to have you on again after they win the World Series now, and then this was a good episode because we had some awesome excitement at the end, then we had some therapy at the end as well. And now we're bringing the vibes back up. So we're super excited. But before you go, everyone go follow the Clem Report on Twitter. Also watch We Gotta Believe podcast, and as John mentioned, the My Mom's Basement. I'm not a big TV watcher, so I haven't taken a good look at that. But maybe also
Clem, John and I listened to the Superman episode on our drive the other day. So great job, great work.
Appreciate it. Yep, it's like kind of like with Mets fans. If you're a nerd, you're a nerd. If not, we love you. And we'll always welcome you with open arms. You ever join this side of the tracks, my friend? You ever come in the basement? The basement's open for everybody, man. We're all just sitting down there having snacks and watching nerdy things. So I appreciate you guys having me on. Let's book. We'll say November 15th. That might be a little too late. November 5th. Put it on the calendar. I'm coming back on. We're going to do a World Series championship recap.
Hell yeah, you are. Awesome. All right. Well, this has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Catch me on Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on this channel, NBA Max, with Sports Fluent, Jalen Carter, and Ori B from Hoop Social. Make sure to subscribe to @SportsFluent to catch us on every Thursday at 8 p.m. and to follow @SportsFluent on X, Instagram, and TikTok. This has been another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. Until then, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a great night, everyone.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.